Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the Cobra. It's a tier 9 British auto-loading oscillating turret medium tank. I had to think about that for a while. It's a really weird tank. This one's located on the south spawn of Redshire under the command of Orange's Toxis. Well, he's not only changed plan, he's also changed the voice for this control for this this tank. I don't recognise that one at all. Mind you, I'm half deaf now, so yes, don't know how that's happened. I did mention it in one of the previous videos, but my deafness is getting worse, I'm afraid, and now it's affecting both ears, so a little difficult to hear some of these videos, so I might have to turn the volume up just a little bit to hear what's going on. Anyway, getting back to the battle. The Cobra is a rather unusual tank. It's got a 120mm gun, it's its main armament. It's capable of doing 360 alpha, and it will penetrate 268mm of armor with the standard rounds, which, as you can see here, are actually the heat rounds, actually. Or is it that Hesh? No, the standard rounds are the heats rather. 360 alpha, 268, that's right. And the Hesh rounds are the premium rounds, and they've got 490 alpha and 210mm of pen. So a rather unconventional armament, much more like the FB4005, and of course that's a tier 9 as well. Or is it? No, it's tier 10, isn't it? It's a tier 10, yes. This one has got 4 shots in the autoloader, 1.5 seconds between each shot, and the total load time normally is 47.94 seconds. That's quite a long reload time. So after you fire one of these, you have to wait a long while. Oh, 2 good shots into the guard. Oh, and the Chieftain P takes 2 as well. And now we're in reload. Now, there's no Arty on this game, so they can't punish him from a long distance away. He can just sit here behind the rock and he's perfectly safe unless the enemy makes a move. And I don't think they will. It's a tier 9 game with tier 8 tanks in it. Now, it does take a long time to reload. The armour on this vehicle is quite strong at the front, 130mm. Weak at the sides though. It's only 80mm on the turret and 40 at the rear, 30 on the sides of the hull and 30 at the rear. So it's very weak on the turret, on the hull, indeed. So very vulnerable. Now, as I recall it, the front of the vehicle actually is fairly resistant to fire though. As you've just seen, he pumped 3 rounds into that Chieftain P. Took him out of the game. He's still got 1 shell left, and I think he'd rather use it, so he fires it into the Shrek and he gets the direct hit for 476, which is a high roll. Or is it? Am I thinking wrong? Because this is 490, so it's a low roll actually. It's that long reload that's the killer. 43.77 seconds for RNG's Toxis, so he's actually chopped to about 4 seconds off the reload. Now, what I'd like to show you is actually, if you look at the oscillating turret, the front of that turret is incredibly strong. The gun is fixed in place, and one of the shells from the enemy tank did actually hit the gun, but it bounced off. It didn't actually pen. So you see, there's a green mark there, not a red mark, which would show that he actually penetrated. There is a bit of red there, so maybe a shell did pen, but the armour is fairly heavy right at the front, just below the gun mount. There, it's very, very strong indeed. And you can see he's actually moving up on the enemy. In fact, now we can see that there is a mark which shows that one of the enemy shells did actually hit and penetrate the barrel. So they were aiming at him directly, and he's fixed his barrel. Because it's not showing as one of the damaged equipment on his vehicle at the moment. So yes, his repair kit has cooled down. Okay, he's got really close to the enemy. This is where it gets quite good, because he's got 10 degrees of gun depression. The enemy comes over, yeah, they're going to get hit, and badly. In fact, look at this, he's pumping those rounds into the enemy, which if I recall, that's a, yeah, it's a TNH 105-1000. It looked for a second like a C45, but I wasn't sure. But then, yes, it said TNH. Now, he's actually scoring a massive amount of damage. He's very good at doing this. 4,366 so far, and the potential to do a lot more than that. He's moving up to get ready. As soon as he's loaded, he'll push, and then he'll try to locate the next target. And we can see it already. It's the TNH 105-1000 again. But this time around, I think he's being a little more cautious. Because really, this ground actually works in RNG's Toxis' advantage. Sorry, I almost mucked up saying that, but RNG is actually in the better position here, because he's having to come over the ridgeline to try and get a shot at him, whereas RNG is right down next to the water and can drop down into the river if he needs to. Oh, almost got him. Now, he was spotted, and that's encouraged the TNH for a second to think he can come forward. There, you can see he drops below the riverbank, and there's virtually no way that TNH can get shots on him, but he can get shots on him, on the enemy, if he comes forward. So it's a very advantageous position for RNG. And now he's coming forward. No, he's actually blown 2 shells. He might want to drop back altogether and get a full load. He's got 10 rounds left. Go for it. Well, he did take a hit, but he goes for the cupola and he gets it, and there's the kill shot. Nicely done. So it's good that he didn't listen to me and fall back to reload. He actually got a kill with his last 2 shells. Okay, the other thing I like about this is the RNG Toxis is actually sending out the message that he's in reload. He hits the C key, or it's the F8 key, to say I've got so many seconds until I'm loaded, because that's one of the drawbacks with this tank, is the long reload time. If you let your teammates know how long you're going to be until you're ready, then they can wait until you're ready to actually start their action. Unfortunately, he did lose some of his teammates who got taken out by these guys, I think up here, or they got taken out at long range. There's a Kunstpanzer up there somewhere. There was a Scorpion G, but I think he's fallen back. I'm pretty sure that Scorpion G was probably using the bushes or the tree that was knocked down just here, and we can use the tree against the guys on the hill now. If only our guys can get spots on them, we can take them out. Well, the T-54 lightweight's coming up. Okay, we're moving to a position. We've been spotted again. Somebody is up on that hill having spots on us every now and then. Gonna have to change the way we approach this. Yeah, I think the enemy tanks that are spotting him are just up on top of that hill. And there are bushes in between us and them, as well as trees, so we can knock down a few of the trees to get closer. Okay, it'd be this set of trees if he is going to do it. No, he's actually decided to come about it from a different angle. He's retreating, heading back to his own cap area. And I think he's going to try and attack the enemy tanks that are coming down the west side of the map. Now, will he get spotted when he pops up here? No, he hasn't been spotted. Okay, well that's good news. And we've got the Chieftain back and the T-54. They've all pulled back. Yes, it's giving the enemy the east side of the map, you might say, for the moment, but they don't know that. They don't know there might be somebody, as far as they're concerned, over on the east side. I wonder if RNG Toxis is now thinking about going up the east side all on his own, and taking out the enemy from long range. I mean, if they're tempted to actually come in that direction, you could take advantage of it. Okay, we just lost a Scorpion. I'm beginning to wonder if he's actually going to come across somebody any second now who was sitting up there. We can see the Kunstpanzer now. He's actually come down from the hill, and he's actually roaming along the hill. Oh, he just got hit as well. He's roaming along that ridge line that we were previously sitting on. And the Scorpion is coming up this way, so he was right. And the Scorpion noticed he got spotted. He probably saw us at the same time. Oh, big hit! Lovely hit there, 466. And the Scorpion's not happy about that. And he's out the game. Okay, this could be a major advantage now because we're one up on the enemy. Might want to pop the reload to get 4 shells in. Gotta wonder where that Kunstpanzer is located. There's the AMX 1390. Oh, he got a hit. 468. Good shot. And he got another hit. And he set him alight. But he didn't get the kill. So he's left the guy on virtually no hit points. Or very little anyway. Okay, we've got 3 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. It's been a long battle. Oh, and somebody's coming this way. The Kunstpanzer is desperately trying to get to us. Okay, we're backing up to get behind this wreck. Yeah, use the cover. Oh, we take 1 shot from the Kunstpanzer. Now, is he going to push forward? If so, we can use the wreck for cover. Or we're going to use the second wreck for cover. We're trying to tempt him in, lure him into a killing zone. No, we've only got 2 shells left now. But 2 shells is enough to take care of the Kunstpanzer. Okay, let's have a quick look over here, see if he can get round the corner. Didn't pop the reload. Oh, unfortunately, he left a gap for the Kunstpanzer to get a shot through. The enemy has lost another tank. It was the AMX 1390, the one with short health. Now, will Kunstpanzer try to come this way? He doesn't know if we're loaded or not. So he has to take a chance. Ooh, bounce one off our frontal armour. That armour near the actual front of the turret. Where it's most strong at that particular point. Which direction is he going to come from? There he is. Oh, lovely shot. Good snap. Kills the Kunstpanzer. That's 3 kills now for RNG as Toxis. But there's only 2 enemies left now. They've got an E75TS, which, as you know, is basically a Lurder by another name, and a Scorpion. Their hit points, well, they're fairly strong. We've only got 941 between all 3 of us, but then you should point out that RNG as Toxis only has 204 of those. So the enemy does have a lot of hit points, but remember, those hit points can be lost very, very quickly if we use the this automatic cannon, an autoloader. Well, the enemy just lost their E75TS, which now means that the Scorpion's the only one left alive, and we've got 39 seconds to kill him. And he's gone! Our Scorpion killed their Scorpion, and that's the end of the game, so it's a victory. is the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for Aslains in the Cobra, whilst he was in the VALLA clan. Actually, he's in a different one now. He's actually managed to get a bruiser medal as well for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 6 in this one. And he got a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, 5 for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle. And he got a high caliber as well for dealing the most damage in that game overall. And you can see how effective this tank is, especially when you're using the HESH rounds, the premium rounds, just blasting in those shells and getting a huge amount of damage each time. If you're getting the average, which is 490, then yes, the enemy tanks are certainly going to feel that if they get 4 times that value in next to no time at all. It's close to 2,000 hit points of damage with 1 mag load. Anyway, let's have a look at the details. Okay, 6,582 hit points. That was a pretty emphatic high caliber. The second highest in the game was the Scorpion on his own team. Scorpion G got 3,974, and the third highest damage went to the Scorpion on the enemy team with 3,601. When it came to kills, it was the Scorpion on our team who did the best with 4 kills, but 3 kills went to Aslains, and also 3 kills went to their Scorpion and their Hawk 30. When it came to base XP, it was Aslains. He did 1,423, 1,181 went to the Scorpion on our team, and the third highest was the Chieftain, the FE4201. He managed 898. He fired 23 rounds in that game, got 17 direct hits and 15 penetrations and 2 splash. Damage of 6,582, of which 1,519 broke more than 300 meters. So most of the damage was done at close range, and it was done by derping the enemy really quickly. It's that 4-shot clip, and the fact that the shells intra-clip are only 1.5 seconds each. And the fact, of course, if you're using the HESH, 490, yes, that is a lot of damage. It is 1,960 hit points of damage if you get an average roll. But if you've got a high roll, you could get over 2,000 hit points of damage in next to no time at all. He also received 7 hits from the enemy. 4 of them did penetrate, and some of those went through the barrel as well as the actual front of the vehicle. I think you can see the holes at the end of the game, and 1 went through the front of the turret as well. 3 non-penetrations. Some of those shots actually did bounce off the gun itself, and I think he did block some damage that was actually aimed at the area where the armor is strongest. He blocked 1,110 hit points of block damage. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 3 were killed, 945 hit points of spotting, I think that is. Yep, very good spotting. 57,267 credits for the game, but his costs were considerable. He had to repair the vehicle. He used HESH, which is expensive, and he also used consumables. So he actually ended up with a loss of 48,722 credits for the game. 1,423 XP for the battle, 2,135 from personal reserves and 107 for this being a premium vehicle, 4,377 experience points altogether, but I think he'll be quite happy about taking that win, although I'd guess that he would have liked to have got that last kill on the Scorpion, because of course it would have been his 4th kill, but and it would have earned him a fighter badge, but I think he would have liked it for the extra hit points. Okay, let's have a look at the armor for this beast. Okay, well, you can see that armor around the bottom, just underneath the gun. The barrel is actually fixed into the front of the turret. Remember, it's an oscillating turret, so the idea is that that bit of solid metal there is incredibly strong, and that's what actually could stop those shells, because those rounds were actually going straight into that very, very hard armor. They're 215 millimeters thick, but with the angling and everything, 254 millimeters for them to get through. The hull's a lot weaker. The upper plate is only 13 centimeters. Lower plate is only 12.5 centimeters. Just underneath the bit where it oscillates, it's only 13 centimeters. But of course, remember, the gun is actually oscillating into that area anyway. So if he was actually in a hull down position and he was looking down like that, some of the hard armor would be directly in front of that 13 centimeter bit. Okay, if we look at the upper plate of the turret, we can see it's 135 millimeters. if I take out the angling there, it's actually giving you 266 because it's angled back. The cupola is a weak spot. It's only 60 millimeters, but it's a very thin cupola. So they'd have to be fairly accurate and very accurate rather to get shots directly into that spot. But the roof of the turret is actually fairly weak. It's only 25 millimeters. So if they were shooting down on this tank, which is ideal, you're only going to get very thin armor to aim at. The driver's over here. You can see that. The commander will be over here and the gunner's over there, this gunnery sight. It's also got a very thin engine deck area, 30 millimeters, 20 millimeters. This is that hump area, which is actually created in such a way so that the turret can go down into this section of the hull and rotate around. If I can demonstrate that, it's difficult. Yes, you can see if I do that, you can see the turret will actually go around inside the groove that they've created. But it gives them a bit of extra space at the back where they can use that for bits of the engine. And I seem to recall that they used either a Comet or one of the other tanks, I think it was Comet actually, as the base tank for the prototype. This is the tank that never actually got produced. It was theorized, it was put onto paper, but they never actually went ahead and built it. You can see at the back there, again, very thin, 30 millimeters. If we go to the live model, you can probably see straight away that, yes, it's only really the areas which are very well angled, all the front of that turret. But if you're in a hull down position, you can see, again, it's very, very strong. If he goes hull down, if I can get this to go hull down correctly, then you can see, yes, there's a lot of armor there which actually is angled, and therefore makes it very difficult for the enemy tank to actually get a penetration. I could take you over to the modules, but sadly there are none. So all we can tell is the driver is definitely over on the left-hand side of the vehicle, commander on the left, gunner on the right. And I seem to recall as well that we do know the engine is actually at the rear. We think that there's an auto-loading mechanism in the bustle, so that would probably have an ammo rack. And the engine at the back, well, it'll be within that hump area, right at the back. And that's about all we can tell. We can't verify where everything else is, other than from where the cupolas are, to tell us exactly, or the viewports, to tell us where the individuals are in the vehicle. If I recall, going back here to the stats, the commander is the radio man. The gunner is also the loader, which is why it takes so long for the loading process to actually take place, because you're asking the gunner to stop actually doing his gunnery work and actually then start shoving the shells into the mechanism, whilst the commander is also overloaded because he's carrying out the radio man duties at the same time. Driver's only doing the driving, which is what you'd expect. But that gives you an idea that, yes, actually, the reason for the long reload is primarily down to the fact that these crews are multitasking, and that's why they take so long. So a very nice game there by RNG Stoxis. Thanks for sending it in. Just goes to show that the Cobra is actually a very effective tank, and I can't wait to get my hands on one, because I imagine that this thing is a bit like some of the other tanks which have got those autoloaders where you can do a massive amount of damage and just run off and hide somewhere and then come back and do the same again. So it must be an absolute terror. The only thing you've got to watch out for is that the armor is so thin that if you allow the enemy to get shots onto your side, you're probably going to be out of the battle very quickly. Ideally, you want to get them shooting just at your turret and nothing else, and that way you can stay alive long enough to get the damage. I hope you enjoyed the replay. If you did, please give the video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.